Welcome everybody, it's Unstoppable Stutz, and I'm here again with yet another Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition casting game to do today. This time we are doing a Supremacy 1 versus 1 between the French and the Ottomans. So this one should be a pretty interesting one, you know. It's going to be two civs that really love their fast fortress strategies, and then the Ottomans of course can go up to FI as well, so there's probably a million ways this could turn out. I'm looking forward to it, but before we see how it turns out, let's look at the map and figure out what might the geography do to push players in either direction when they're forming their strategies. So in general, this is considered to be a water map because you do have this river component here and then the little island here at the top. Maybe somebody's going to grab this island and get this native, who knows. But certainly you're going to have a lot of combat around this straightaway area with this little crossing in the water here where the native is. So definitely we're going to see people trying to grab these two, especially this native, and then this trade route down here is going to see a lot of action. Ottomans usually try to grab all the trading posts. French like to at least get one, so that might turn out pretty interesting. Let's begin, shall we? Alright, so over here we got the Ottomans. The one good thing about the Ottomans is you don't have to worry about queuing up villagers, right? Because they sort of queue up automatically for you. Your Yuluks, which your unique Ottoman villages are called, will be produced for free over time from your town center. The only thing, of course, you need to do to keep up maintenance is building houses. And once you reach a certain number of the Yuluks, you do have to increase their build limit by a small amount through some mosque technologies, yeah. And then there's a couple of technologies at the mosque as well that can allow the Yuluks to train slightly quicker, which can be pretty useful. Yeah. The sooner you get them, it's usually the better off you're going to be. I think in general, when Ottomans are playing in a 1v1, the most common type of build at the start you're going to see is a house, mosque, trading post build. So you try to put down one trading post on a trade route, try to get one mosque up, and then you try to build a house. Is that what we're going to see here? Because as far as I'm concerned, it looks like the explorer was busy doing some treasure work at the beginning. Is he going for the treasure, or is he going for the trade route? I can imagine he's going to try to build onto this socket since it's the closest to him. Yes, he is. Definitely. But at the same time, you got the French here, who also like to build their trading posts. And they try to get at least one. It definitely aids in their FF timing. As for the French, well, they don't get the luxury of getting villagers trained for them automatically over time. The one thing the Ottomans do get is villagers that not only gather quicker, but they also fight pretty well as well. The Coureur de Bois. Yeah, Coureur de Bois can be a pretty interesting villager that shakes up the game. When not fighting, they can just be a really good economic source. But occasionally there are situations when these Coureur de Bois can be put onto the front lines to act as sort of like a mini, you know, skirmisher, musketeer almost. Well, not a musketeer because they don't have bayonets, but they can definitely shoot at things pretty well. And with 40% pierce armor and some villager HP upgrades, pretty tanky unit as well, almost like a cav wrecked of a villager. Yeah, so you don't want to underestimate the Coureur de Bois' abilities by any chance. Also expected Ottomans did go for the second trading post as well. I'm pretty sure though that they were expecting that they weren't going to get all three because they were dealing with a French opponent who always grabs one of them. So that's something they're going to have to deal with. Maybe they come around at some point to take it from them so they can get their stagecoach going. But we'll see. We'll see how that turns out. France is going for the quartermaster, by the way, which is a 400 wood politician so they can build racks, stable, houses, you know. It's good for infrastructure, really. But Ottomans, interestingly enough, are actually going for the Philosopher Prince, which gives you food. So that's telling me this is looking almost like a straight-up FF, not even a semi-FF. Pretty much is going to be a naked FF off the bat. Wouldn't surprise me if they went right for the coin the 700 coin shipment right away. I mean, yeah, that's the way this deck is literally designed. You got 3 Yaruks as shipment number 1, and then you go for 700 coin right after that. He does have the Frontier Defenses shipment as a backup, but ideally Armins are going for a naked FF here to access all of these shipments. Abyss, Cav Archers, Humbarsi, Falks, Safahis, Fort. This is what the Armins are really jumping for here. But they do actually have the Royal Decree as well, should they want to go for the FI. They don't have the card to make the text cheaper though, so that's going to be a bit of a challenge. But at the same time, they do have some other good stuff down here in FI world. They got the Bombards, they got the Arm and Artillery Division, which gives some mercy, and a Bombard, Abyss, and more Safais. We'll see which route they decide to go down. Could be pretty interesting to see which one they end up going with. As for the French, I'm going to want to look at their deck as well. So this is something that, who's this, Kaiski? Yeah, Kaiski usually does is instead of doing, well, wait a second. So it looks like Kaiski actually went 3 couriers, 700 wood, 4 couriers, and then it's going to go for 700 coin, I think. Yeah. Do we see any sort of like production buildings here? I don't see... Well, I do see a dock. This could be pretty interesting. So it does look like France is actually going to do a bit of a fishing boat boom alongside their regular gameplay. And that's something you can totally do on this map because you do have this nice river at your disposal. I don't see Armins building a dock, so I'm assuming they're going straight up for that FI, whereas France tries to play it a bit more economically. Yeah. And in that sense, I feel like Kaiski is going to try to ride this out, because in general, when you're dealing with the Armins, you either try to beat them before they get the FF or the FI, or you try to play it out safely, building out your economy so you might actually be able to build an army that can counter whatever sort of shenanigans they pull with their shipments, right? Getting enough dragoons, enough culverins, whatever you're going to need for that. Yeah, so France, I think, is going to try to play this out for the long game against the Armins and whatever they do in their probably naked FI approach to this, I would think. And yes, Armins may indeed send some Safai out to raid the French, but I think their main goal is to get those really nice back shipments in Age 4. You know, especially the Bombards, just blast into the French base. Yeah. And Kaiski knows I'm probably not going to beat him to the punch on that because it's the Armins and they grab all those trading posts usually, so the best thing I can do is get 2 docks up, start booming out those fishing boats. So that way I can match his raw shipment power with my economic power to meet him with the necessary units to counter that. Because Dragoons, Corsairs, if you want to go that route, they're going to cost a lot of food, so you're going to have to really deck out lots of fishing economy. And if you need coin, of course you have to make wells. You could switch over to that as well, so you got that option. Yeah, definitely. Yep, Armins, naked FF, just as predicted with the Scout, which is going to grant them some delis. And these delis are going to be used for raiding, conceivably. Yep, about 4 delis. Basically the Armin equivalent of a Hussar. They do attack, I believe, a little bit quicker than a Hussar, so they're a pretty good raiding unit overall, you know. They give enemies a lot of trouble, usually. Yes, this is a naked FI, because we now see the 1k coin shipment. That's just enough coin to, I believe, plus 100 more coin, just enough to hit the FI marker. Yeah. And just a little bit more food to go as well, and they should be up. Definitely helps that the Armin villagers come out for free, and you don't actually have to spend any food to get more villagers. That's definitely a good advantage. Marriage politics, that should be a pretty good technology to use over here. Goldener Rider. Oh, now this is a pretty good ship in here for what the Armins are doing right now, because it's going to grant their cavalry some armor as well, while the ability is active. Yeah, that's pretty significant. That should definitely help out here when you're raiding, when you're fighting. Especially those Safahis once you hit that FI. That's definitely going to be a great asset. Looks like the Ottomans are not going to give them any chances though. They are going for that Advanced Frontier Defenses card. Upgrades outposts to Frontier status and gives you 3 outpost wagons. So not only is it going to give you 3 more towers, it's going to research the first technology for the towers. This way, if France for whatever reason tried to fight this out early in Age 3 instead of Age 4, they would have a pretty formidable defense to deal with. They'd be getting shot at from all directions. Certainly any infantry and cavalry would be getting wiped out pretty easily with that. So yeah, definitely. But that doesn't look like what France is doing, though. France appears to be playing the long game, the economic game. As we see here, they're still going... Well, how many boats did they end up getting? Like 10? Not bad. They're probably going to get some techs on that, too, like the gill nets and the fishing hooks. Actually, there's about 11 fishing boats right now. Looks like now France is going to try to meet them in the industrial age at this point, because I see they're just queuing up like 1 dragoon at a time. Where's that stable? Right over here. Yeah, in general, in this combat, dragoons are going to have a lot of value against the Ottoman FI. Dragoons will be able to fight Sipahis, they'll be able to deal with the delis pretty well, and then they'll be reasonable against any artillery that the Ottomans make. So that's certainly a good start, a flexible start. The only thing that it would really fall apart against is the Abyss gunners if they want to go straight up Abyss, which, you know, Ottoman FIs aren't going to do that. They're going to usually jump right for the Bombards and the Zam Fusiliers and the Sipahis. They're not going to go for the Abyss gunners off the bat. It's kind of a rarity, really. Yeah, France is definitely making the right decision with that. Covered wagon. So France is now going to try to boom up on land now, getting another TC. Also in Definitive Edition also gives your town center a build limit of 1, so you can get 4 town centers. That's a pretty good trick, because that gives you a lot more map control than you could get in Legacy, for sure. Definitely. Is it conceivable Ottoman's going to try to get this House of Wedden as well? Probably if they want to go with more of these Saxon Cuirassiers especially. And I wonder if anyone's going to grab the House of Vasa on that island either. Could be an interesting one. Now, this is pretty fascinating. Ottomans is still playing it out defensively. They actually have shipped in about... Is that 2 forts? They got 2 forts over here. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, having access to 2 forts. That's going to give them a really good defense here. Absolutely. And after that, they're going to start to get their factories going. At the start, I think they're just going to be grabbing some resources from those factories, but I'm pretty sure once they, you know, get the resources that they want, they're going to be queuing those over to produce free great bombards for the Ottomans. Yeah, because that's sort of what makes the Ottoman FI that dangerous, basically, is its ability to produce the bombard cannons. Unlike, you know, the heavy cannon, which has a lot of specialty against infantry, the great bombard has a lot more, you know, reach, it has a lot more splash, it's good against all sorts of units when in mass. It's really a terrifying beast to deal with, right? Sort of up there with the British rockets almost, in terms of deadly potential. Yeah, definitely. Cav archers, they're going to be added in with the delis. Cav archers are going to be great against the French cuirassiers, splash cavalry should those be produced. That's certainly in the back of the Ottomans' mind, I believe, when they're planning out their strategy here. Oh, they're going right over to the bombards. They're not even waiting. Yep, I believe Robber Barons is probably going to be the next shipment, you know. Yep, exactly. They want 2 of those queues of the bombards going right from the start. The more bombards they can get right now, the better off for them, really. Better off they'll be. France at this point still just going Dragoon. They also got 2 falconets from the engineer politician on the industrial age Egypt, so that's going to provide a bit of artillery. Yeah, so it's going to be... I believe it's going to be a light cavalry and artillery war from what I understand, right? It's going to be cav archers and bombards versus these 2 falcons and this big mass of dragoons. Yeah. It would behoove the French to try to move towards skirm at this point. Maybe. Or culverins. If you could get some culverins in there to deal with the bombards, your dragoons will probably be okay, I think. But you definitely have to be careful of that, right? The difference between a Cav Archer and a Dragoon is the Dragoon deals out a lot more damage, you know. It's a more powerful unit, I would say. Whereas the Cav Archer, you know, the Cav Archer actually has some, you know, quirks to it. Instead of Pierce Armor, they have Hack Armor, which gives them a disadvantage against the Dragoon, but they also have a better rate of fire as well, since they're using a bow and arrow, which shoots better than those early gunpowder weapons do. Yeah, so there's definitely a bit of a dynamic there that you have to watch when they're fighting. Right now, Armin's just pumping out the free Bombards, but they can add anything else in. I mean, if they add in the Abyss Gunners, that could be a pretty formidable weapon, because those things will shred through the Dragoons with very little problem. And then you could probably even afford the Veteran upgrade on them too, just to give them a little bit of tougher stats as well. Ottomans are also moving on to the water as well. Are they going to make some sort of fishing ships at some point themselves? Or are they just trying to put down a frigate or armada to harass the French with? Yeah, because here's the thing. You could actually harass the starting town center from the proximity of the water with the mortar and just start shelling it like crazy. That is something you could definitely do here. I wonder if that's what the Ottomans are potentially planning here. If so, that would be pretty serious indeed. Oh, France is actually taking the island. They got a town center here full of courier de bois already, eating up the mines. They're going to put their factories here as well. That's an interesting one, you know. As long as your Ottoman opponent doesn't know where the factories are and they try to go for the main base, that could work pretty good, but at the same time, if for whatever reason, you know, the AI pathing on the ships is pretty weird. One of them strays off course and they sort of bump up here, sort of. They're going to say, hey, wait a minute. I could see Kaishi's factories right here. Unprotected, you know. He doesn't have a barracks up here. He doesn't have a stable. I mean, all he's going to be able to do is defend with these Vasi units, right? These skirmishers and these winged hussars. He could literally just take his boats up here and bombard those. Basically for free almost, you know. The only thing it's getting protected by is the town center, of course, with its anti-ship attack. But that's about it. Yeah, that could go bad, you know. But well, another thing too that I wouldn't like is the fact that you would constantly need maintenance to, you know, move heavy cannons that you produce from that factory down to the mainland. Yeah, that could get a bit annoying as well. But looks like for the time being, Kaiski is just going to be trickling wood with his factories. He just got the steam power right now to boost it up. And what sort of like comp is he going to do? Is he just sticking to Dragoons? Yeah, just like I mentioned before, got some of those culverins in there. Dragoon and culverin might be the play here, you know. You don't really need something to deal with infantry right now, you just need to wipe out his bombards. That's sort of your priority at this point. If you can deal with the bombards effectively, the Cav Archers really aren't a problem anymore. Yeah, and if Ottomans do add in Abyss Gunners or something, that could be a bit of a serious problem, of course, but if they don't, yeah, Culverins is looking like the superior option at the moment. Yeah, here's the thing. It looks like Ottomans really don't have a lot of resources right now, and that's sort of why they are constructing their town centers now. Yeah. In general, you know, the thing you want to do with the Ottomans in really any game is try to get their town centers up as quick as possible, because those town centers, as long as they're active for Ottomans, are going to be constant growths of your economy, right? You don't need food to train villagers with the Ottoman Yaruks. They just come out automatically, right? So just leave the TC there and it does the work for you, bringing you additional gatherers. And they got about 5 town centers, it looks like, because they have the 2 covered wagons, cart, and industrial age, which also increases the build limit to 2 as well. So Ottomans are actually doing pretty good in terms of their villager production rate at this point. Question is, how long is it going to last before the French get involved, right? French could certainly attack at any point now. I think probably what France is going to want to do is try to get the guard upgrade on the Dragoons, get the Culverin Royale upgrade on the Culverins, so that way you get that anti-cav, anti-artillery mixture prepared for yourself. Yeah. That's definitely the way I see this going. Yeah, Dragoons just ever slightly pushing towards the middle. Are they going full throttle at this point? They are going to find this town center, though, and they can definitely start causing some problems with it. It's a pretty easy picking. You know, really not enough villagers yet here to really make a formidable town center attack, basically. You need at least, like, 8 or 9 villagers or something to get a good town center fire. Now, you only got 1 Uruk here right now. Actually 2. We got 1 in the TC, 1 that just got produced. So it's going to take a while before that can start to defend itself. Another town center on this side by the French, as well as an outpost. This could definitely be very obnoxious for the Ottomans if they decide to do any naval combat. Because basically if they start too far to the top here, these town centers are actually going to start shooting at the ships with their anti-ship attack, which is actually packs a pretty good wallop. That could be a pretty harmful issue for them to deal with. Guard cav archers. Yeah, so this is going to be light cavalry and artillery. Now, let's see how good the Bombards can do here, because... Oh yeah, well, Bombards are going to try to dish out as much punishment as possible. Which is not as good against the, cavalry units, yeah. It's not as tough, you know, because the damage does get cut down to about half, so it's really just like 250 crush damage instead of the 500. Yeah, that was shredded really quickly. And that's making me think Ottomans are probably going to be in a panic mode at this point, because what they're doing right now just isn't working. Did they actually ship any of their bombards? No, they did not, so those are just factory ones. How are they going to respond to this exactly? They need something to deal with like cavi. You know, the fact that Kaisky added in some heavy horse guns as well is going to make it trickier for an Abyss gun response to that. So what do Ottomans do? Do they go their own culverins at this point? Yeah, I mean, you got 2 elephants in the room. You got the massive guard dragoons that you're dealing with, and then of course you got the culverin and the artillery threat. So do you do like Abyss guards? Do you do culverins? Do you do a combo of those two with your bombards? How do you rip apart this army, which seems to be pressing forward still? Yeah, like what's the Egypt revolt? Oh, that would be an interesting one. Yeah, Egypt revolts are pretty fun. I mean, I've done a couple of them before. Yeah, no, no Egypt revolt. All right, so no Mamluks or any of those fun things. What's this, battleship? Oh, Ottomans are gonna train, is that, oh, they're training a battleship. Oh, that's interesting. That could have an interesting effect over here. Battleship's certainly a very tanky warship that does a lot of damage overall, and that could add a bit of an interesting dynamic to this fight. Uruk's not even retreating though, they're just sitting there and getting sniped off by the goons at this point. Yeah, that's just not good. Guard cav archers are gonna try and move forward with their bombards. What would I be doing though? Because you need to, I think, maybe try to add something that's gonna give the cav archers a better edge against the goons, right? Maybe some Abyss guards, something like that. Because if he could bite through the Dragoon mass and do a little bit better against his artillery, then you could sort of turn this around, right? But yeah, the other problem though is that France, being France, is just doing better economically than you are. They have much better gather rates on their villages than yours do. And if we look at like the, well, there actually are no economic well, there is economic theory, which was sent. What do the Ottomans get? Well, yeah, they don't have any economic shipments, so yeah, Courier de Bois with economic theory, that's gonna do some damage to you for sure when it comes to comparing economies. Looks like we got Horse Article, Falks, sort of sitting at this point here. They could probably shoot straight ahead at this TC once they start moving forward a bit. It's really nothing protecting it at this point. Only thing you'd be concerned about, of course, is getting flanked by this armored army here. Which, thankfully, the culverins help out a bit with, right? The culverins shoot first, and they sort of, like, give you the beep, beep, beep. You're being attacked on the side, you know? That's why culverins with their good range can definitely be a help. They're a good beacon to let you know when trouble's coming. This time, keeping the bombards in the way back. Trying to avoid as much culverin fire as possible, it looks like. And trying to make as much strategic hits as possible with their really strong crush damage, yeah. Well, I feel like now the Armans are in a better position because all but one of the culverins is left. So, yeah, just gotta take this one. Try to, yep, target that with your cav archers. Now the French have to produce a new army now. Yep, and you still got a number of your bombards, which is excellent. Yeah. You could train cav archers on the fly if you have to, but the bombards are the things that are going to take a while to get out, so you definitely got to deal with that. Oh, Kaitsky's building forward stables. Does Armans know about that? He does not know about that yet. Is he going to find out about that? Because once he does, I feel like he could just blast those down for the most part. Yeah. He does see this foundry though in his fog of war, so he should know at this point that a forward base is being constructed on his frontier. Yeah, he's gonna, yep, the cav archers are moving towards it, so yeah, he knows about this forward base now. In general, you're gonna put your stables and your racks up before you put your foundry up, so that definitely gives you a bit of a warning as a player that your opponent is trying to, you know, go for a forward base, and they probably already have something at that point if they're already in the point where they're thinking about artillery, right? Because you normally wouldn't put a foundry by itself, since, you know, cav and infantry can wipe that out pretty quickly. You would probably want to start with, like, musketeers, hussars, something basic, and then start building the foundry as sort of like the support that it is. Artillery is more of a support unit. Ever rarely can you just do, like, 200 pop artillery spam by itself, right? Of course, in arena, things are a bit different, but in, like, regular supremacy play like this, it's not that cut and dry. Oh, he's gonna have, oh, no, yep, that could be annoying, absolutely. Is he gonna try to sweep in for another snipe of Bombard? He's gonna try to maneuver, I can imagine. Down to do that. Yo, stables down. Now you got Master Safahis with the cav archers. I wouldn't be putting one down. I wouldn't be letting the Safahis go one at a time like this, because this just makes it that much easier for the Dragoons to decide what to snipe on. Yeah, try to get the Safahis onto the culverins, because those are exposed, and those really can't defend themselves very well from that. Yeah, the great thing about the Safahis is the fact that they have all that splash attack, and they can also heal themselves when they're not fighting, when they're idle. That definitely gives them a pretty good advantage when they're not in combat, right? Yep, see how they're healing? That just adds to the longevity of the unit overall. Yeah, Safahis are going to be used again to pressure the Dragoons. You know, Dragoons, in theory, are the counter, but if they get too close to Safahis, they can usually wipe out Dragoons pretty well. As long as they're in small numbers, right? If you're dealing with like a big wall of Dragoons like we saw before, Safahis, that would be a total annihilation of them, but when their numbers are low like this, Safahis could do pretty well with that. Oh, giant grenadiers, so it looks like Kaitsky is adding some of those in from the native settlement. Giant grenadiers could definitely change things up a bit combat-wise, you know. They have a pretty formidable range attack overall. And they can indeed fight cavalry somewhat in melee with their bayonets as well. They could definitely change the dynamic of this combat quite a bit. Yeah, so it looks like France is doubling down on Culverin Dragoons. Whereas Ottomans are going... Well, they should be changing this factory over to some resource once you reach that pop cap. You know, try to get some useful stuff. Wait a second, though. That's pretty interesting. Unlike in Legacy, you know, when the queue just starts over. Oh, it does. Ah, that's interesting. You know, that actually makes it feel like a much better option in D, because normally in, like, Legacy, the queue would just start over again if you don't have the available pop, but it just waits here in DE for that pop to become available and then pops the cannon out. That's pretty useful because it does give you 2 additional cannons in your back pocket that you're going to have access to once some of those gets destroyed. It's definitely going to be helpful. Yeah, that sounds pretty convenient if you ask me. Humbarses, interesting option. Humbarses going into melee. That's something you usually don't see every day. Must be real desperate to fight these dragoons then. Yeah. That's the tactic we see all the time. Yeah, now he's going for the Nizam Fusiliers at this point. He's sending all the Royal Decree technologies, you know, the one for the Bombards, the one for the Nizams, the one for the Sipais to give him more armor. He's going for really everything at this point. You have New Order Infantry, and then Kapakulu Corps, and then Topkoop Corps, which gives you about 3 Bombards. You probably want to have just more Cav Archers and combat units at this point, and maybe save the Bombards for like the infantry and stuff. Just my opinion. Yeah, well, that Culverin's down. That's gonna. Oh, he's got Courier de Bois combating the Bombards as well. That's interesting. You know, since they're villages, they do have multipliers against artillery, believe it or not. So that isn't the worst idea in the world, actually. You can cause some havoc in the battle with that. And then, of course, it messes up the targeting of the Cav Archers, too, to focus on the villagers, which can tank them really well with 40% Pierce. Yeah, that's kind of an interesting one. So, how do these Nizams do here? Well, in the current mode is, and they have multipliers against heavy infantry only, so it's not like they're going to be shredding through the goons, but they are going to do generally pretty well because they are a one-pop infantry unit that can add some combat strength to this. Yeah, once you leave the Dragoons isolated like that, though, they're kind of going to get wiped out, and then that Culverin's going to be destroyed as well. A fort over here. Now that's pretty interesting, and now we see that there is a monitor from France that's sitting right over here with their caravels. While all this was going on, France was going for the naval game as well. Yep, yeah, is that enough? Oh, yep, well, another bomber just got taken out. Yeah, don't let France take control of this little centerpiece here. If you can, like, move on. Well, here's the thing. Is it even worth trying to go for the fort at this point, or do you want to go straight for the belly of the beast? One thing that you're really not too happy about as Ottomans right now is the fact that the French have basically taken really supreme map control at this point. They got this little inlet here, they got the island, they got the water, they got just about all the land that they need to like move their stuff around as needed. That's the one thing that's going to drive you crazy in this matchup right now. It's the fact that no matter what you do, France has a place to go. Whereas the Ottomans, you know, they're working on their side of the map only. They don't have the water anymore, they don't have an island, kind of just sitting there by themselves. And it's just a matter of time before Kaisky decides to use that mortar to start shelling at his buildings. Yeah, because that's what the mortar does. And then it has, of course, the charged ability. It's not a charged ability, it has the ability to, like, do a big bombardment. It blows up a bunch of stuff. Yeah, that's going to be a pretty horrendous thing to deal with. Ottomans are making some leeway, though, taking out some stables. They did take out the outposts, and that stable should be wiped out pretty easily if they win here. Oh, but you're not watching the culverins, though. You need to deal with the culverins. You're letting the culverins just eat through your army, man. Don't let them do that. You're letting the culverins have an easy time here, and it's like, you know, you're just letting the culverins beat you out. It's crazy. It's insane. And the way France is able to do it is because they got revolver system, which basically adds additional attack and HP to your cannons, including your culverins. So that's basically why these culverins are one-shot these bombards no problem. It's because, you know, they actually have more damage than the traditional culverin does at this stage, so they're actually able to snipe at these bombards pretty easily. Yeah, just stick to the cav archers for the most part. Like, if you can like get some masses of cav archers and do good in these fights against the goons, then you sort of punish Kaishi's culverin play a little bit more by doing that. So, you know, I mean, you could probably keep them all producing from the factory, but try to mostly make sure that your cav archer numbers are satisfactory at this point. Because that's sort of what you're going to be doing for most of your combat at this point. Yeah, and here's the classic Kaishi going for hurtables as well. I could see those sheepies starting to get queued up at the island, actually. Yeah, Kaishi's food economy is going to be doing pretty well with all those nice lamb chops he's going to be in. Definitely. Oh, skirms are going to be shipped in as well. About 8 skirmishers. Yeah, skirmishers changes up this whole fight, you know. Anyone that produces a skirmisher style unit here gains a pretty big edge in the skirmish, since everybody's doing light cav here. Oh, okay, so it looks like cav archers have wiped out the giant grenadiers then. I don't understand though, like, what's your edge at this point? Like, you moved. I think you moved in a little bit too quickly with the cav archers. You should have. Yeah, I don't know what you do as Ottomans at this point. Like, do you add Abyss Gunner? Do you add Azaps? Would Azaps be good here? Like a bunch of Azaps, like a food and wood unit with the bow that can shoot really well against the light cav. Yeah, I mean, you definitely don't have that option at Wars of Liberty when I see the League games, so maybe that's the way you would deal with it in DE, is make a bunch of Azaps. You know, because it's just a straight up light cav killer, and it's technically cheaper than the Abyss Gunner, since it doesn't include the heavy infantry counter to it. Oh, so Ottomans are going to add some culverins in of their own at this point. Do they have all the upgrades for their cannons? Do they have any upgrades for their artillery? They do have, no, they got Karuli School, which is infantry, Endurance School, which is infantry. No upgrades on the artillery, though. Yeah, that could be a bit of a problem, you know. If Ottomans had some more artillery upgrades, they'd probably be able to keep up with the Grivet-Beauval system of the French, you know, and they might have some more survivability on those bombards, but as of right now, they're getting taken out in one shot by those culverins, and that's really hurting them pretty badly. Yeah, definitely. Oh, you got some of the House of Vassive Winged Hussars now. That's a nice dynamic too. Bombards, how are Bombards going to do here? Yeah, just not performing quick enough, you know, and now the Winged Hussars are pouncing their lances into them. Yeah, just getting completely shredded though. Oh, yep. That is not good. Absolutely not good. Infantry combat, like, that's a little bit too late. Like, you should have been getting ASAPs a lot sooner here, I feel like. Like, you needed something to, like, just shred through the Dragoons and get right to the artillery with, right? Because, yeah, Kaiski was just invested mostly in the goons at this point, so you could have, like, changed up the game a bit with some ASAPs or something. I would think you could have. At this point, though, I think it's coming down to a slow crawl at this point, with Kaisky just slowly gaining the push thing here. You know, he's got some skirmishers mixed in as well, reducing the effectiveness of the cav archers. And then you got culverins, you got horse artillery, you still got a heavy cannon as well active. Heavy cannon's gonna be a big hitter here, especially against the infantry and the buildings. Delis, yeah, that's something we haven't seen for a while. So delis are going to be added to harass the cannons. Yeah, that might be true now, but they're not going to help against the Dragoons, though. You know, once more Dragoons get added, Delhi's just sort of go bye-bye at that point. The only sort of good thing about being a Delhi is the fact that your rate of fire, right, your, like, sword attacking rate is very fast. So you're more likely to actually get some value out of them, even in some unfavorable situations defensively on the French side. Yeah. Yeah, this is already a locomotive at this point, this trade route. Ottomans were able to regain their trading post, quote-unquote, the one closest to them, so they're going to at least benefit from it a little bit themselves. However, you know, it could probably be taken back by French pretty easily. I mean, they got villagers active here on their mills. You could just put some racks up there or a stable and just start raiding this down. And what's protecting you is Ottomans from a raid right over here as well. Like, you're wide open. This is like open range mills and estates. Yeah, like this. Like, what do you do against that? Yeah, now, like I mentioned before, the French are going to start using their navy at this point. Gendarmerie Cuirassiers. Oh, these are a pretty formidable pack. Yeah, they're actually going to take down a factory? Yeah, this is not looking good right now. Actually forced to send out the Bashi bazooks. I don't think you're going to take this factory out of it, though. I don't think you got enough stats on that. You know, the reason for using the gendarmes is because they have a lot of HP. So it does take the units a good amount of time to try to wipe them out. Yeah. Well, I mean, all things considered, it's not over yet. There's another batch of gendarmes right over here. It's not over yet. These gendarmes are acting like total siege walls at this point. Yep, advanced arsenal has been sent, so, yep, the torch technology at the advanced arsenal has been researched, I'm assuming. So yeah, these things are doing a lot of siege. Oh, petards, yeah, petards. Kaishki loves petards. Yeah, if you got your opponent busy up here dealing with gendarmes, you could definitely, even wiping out these agriculture buildings can really knock out the Ottomans, you know? Like, looking at the wood. They don't have a lot of wood right now. I mean, they can afford to, like, build, like, 2 mills or an estate, but that's not a lot of wood. If you can start, like, sniping down these eco buildings, the food in the coin just goes away and basically gets shredded apart. Yeah, here's some more gendarmes with the Culverin Royales. Oh, some Trabants as well. These nice halberd units. Yeah, they should be pretty powerful here. Yeah, try to put that monitor close to the dock so it can heal. You know, so you can go in for another strike again. That'd be pretty useful. Oh, the petards got intercepted. Petards got intercepted. Oh, Kaishi's going for an Imperial Age. Ooh, that's pretty interesting. Does he have an army, though? What's gonna happen here? Is he gonna... Oh, he's got petards in the monitor. What's gonna happen here? I'm curious. I mean, technically Kaishi's a little bit down because he did shell a lot of resources into Impade. Like, what's gonna transpire next? I don't know. Like, what could possibly make Kaishi resign at this point? Like, can you actually, like, pressure that hard enough to do that? Well, the petards are going to have their way with the factory. They're going to take out a fort for sure. They're going to take out a town center. Yeah, well, the fort's down. Are they going to take out something else? Well, they took out the town center with the help of the monitor. Now the petards are, you know, just punching villagers instead of blowing things up. Yeah, well, it's the end of that for now, I guess. Yeah, Ottomans are going just for like a full assault at this point. Get this Culverin into attack mode and start attacking these caravels. Get this SBR here and was it SBR and SBR? Caravels, yeah. Oh, yep, took that one out. Well, you took one out anyways. That's pretty good. Cav archers, you know, best thing you can honestly use at this point for the Gendarm threat. Yeah, try to hit as many of those as you possibly can. I don't know, like, what's going on here? Like, technically Ottomans are still in the game at this point, and they're also going up to Imperial Age themselves. Like, what's going on? What is happening exactly? Oh, petards, yeah. This is a... Yeah, I think Ottomans just resigned it because of the petard issue, right? If it wasn't for petards, I feel like maybe they probably would have tried to fight out a bit longer, but still, I don't know. Yeah, kind of a hard one because, you know, you got an opponent that really controls center map, they control the island, they control the bottom of the map, they have their whole side here. Just a lot of work, right? And while you're doing all that work, you're bound to deal with cancer like this coming into your base. So it's just not a good situation. Yeah, resource-wise, Courier de Bloc clearly the better gatherer here. In terms of military performance, slightly better with that Culverin and Dragoon usage than the Cav Archer and Bombard usage of the Ottomans. So that definitely is a pretty interesting show that, you know, French can definitely outmaneuver Bombards if given enough time pretty easily. It was a good battle, honestly, you know. Bit of naval warfare, some pretty good light cav and artillery action. Good stuff, you know. If you got matches like this, definitely send them to me, you know. They could be 1v1s, 2v2s, 3v3s, deathmatch, supremacy. Even scenarios, if you want to do like a Colosseum or something, I'd happily look at that for you. So yeah, definitely send me any games you got so I can cast them for you, you know. Kaishki and Aliyah always sends me their games, so that's always something to look forward to. Yeah, anyways, see you in the next casting game I do. This was definitely a fun one. I'm looking forward to doing the next one for you, so definitely keep your eyes out for that. Sign off now from this one. See you next time.